Tom Vasel's top 100 games of all time. CRC, voice of the people.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunday night. I don't normally do live videos Sunday night, but here we are. I am being joined today by someone you I don't believe has ever been on the Dice Tower before. Have you?
No, not yet. This is the first for me.
All right, Alex Randolph from, well, why don't you tell us where you're from and a little bit about your channel?
Alex Radcliffe from Cleveland, Ohio, and my channel is a little all over the place. It's definitely very heavily Kickstarter focused, but it's also, I do reviews every Saturday. I do topical conversations are my favorite, just talking about the hobby, the industry, different parts or facets of it, and then just really games, top 10 lists. I just did my own top 50, not up to top 100 yet. I'll get there, but it's a little all over the place, but ultimately the one common denominator is it's all about games.
I'm debating going the extra mile and doing my top 1,000. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
100% I'm going to do my top 350.
Wow.
But that's not as hard as it sounds, because as you do the top 100s, games naturally fall off. Well, those games usually don't fall off completely. So I can kind of take those and slot them into those positions and then just do some reconfiguring. And honestly, the difference between 247 and 246, come on, at that point, we're just kind of making stuff up. It's not really
that's
that
essential.
important.
No, that's essential. If it slides down a slot, I mean, that's a big deal, Tom.
Well, you know what, though? And I don't know that there's some statistician term for this. Something that changes from 1 to 2 is a much bigger deal than something that goes from 98 to 99.
Yep.
And so I just find that kind of interesting that is the case. But people take these things very seriously, and I have this weird obsession with stats where I take them very seriously, but at the same time I don't. So, like, for example, Board Game Geek, I'm very interested all the time. Like, what games are in the top 100? What games are here? What is this game ranked? But at the end of the day, I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, I think rankings are always a fascinating thing to guide us to a degree with the games we choose for the most part. I mean, as reviewers, it's a different conversation when we review a game because we often are becoming the stat, the data point. But like, I want to know, like, I constantly reference things as well. That's a 7.2 on Board Game Geek. So I don't know if it'll be great, but at least it's something. So I'll try it out. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, and people who say numbers are meaningless, I really disagree with that. If 99 people say a game is great and one says no, I believe that's useful information. I still might join the one person, but it's still useful information.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole concept of overrated or underrated is a conversation unto itself about, like, can such a concept exist, or does it mean we're the outlier and we're just casting our opinion upon everyone else?
So we have a few things I want to talk about tonight. Now, I got several people who sent me things, and I do want to do a shout out to that. I got Timothy did a spreadsheet here and talked about some interesting numbers. Alex, this may actually steal some of your work. I don't know. But he did mention we talked during the thing about how many 5-way crossovers would there be. And there was
just one.
One, Blood Rage.
Yep.
And then the 4-way crossovers, he said there was 9.
The 4-way crossovers, I think I have 8, but it's a little more caveats there because my data.
Spice Road Golem might have messed things up. Okay.
I was about to say anything that's not a perfect match to BGG or to the specific title might mess it up, but I had 8, yeah.
And then he said there was 31 3-way crossovers.
I didn't count that, but I can get that information for you in a second. That's the fun part about this tool.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for all this. And again, the big takeaway that I think we should make is that I had the most crossover with the people, which is really weird.
I know. You're taking all my fun numbers.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. That's all I'll say from Timothy. Also, Also, Hilmar did some interesting thing, and this you don't have. I know you don't have this because what Hilmar the Viking Drupal, he is currently the person who's in charge of revamping our website. And so he mined in here the People's Choice all the way down to 2,241, which was...
Oh, I don't have that.
Right. So he was giving me the information. So there was 2,241 different games that made the list. And one of the things that was interesting was I was talking about Brass Birmingham and I mentioned Brass Lancashire didn't make the list. He said it got one vote. One vote, period. And it didn't even count that one vote because the person put it in incorrectly. But he still caught it, and he said he'll fix that for future years. And it was that person's number 18. But I thought that was kind of fascinating. And so the good news is that Helmer got me this information, and I will be able to, as time goes by, I'll be able to, I actually have it. Let me see if I can pull this up. I already have it up. That way, if we have any question about where a certain game is, I can find where a game is on a list. Here, let me just, like, for example, Dune Imperium, which is a new hot one for me. That was, oh, never mind. I don't know where I just lost it. But Dune is 282, the original Dune.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to switch over. We're going to take ourselves off the screen here. And Alex is going to show his stat program he built and talk about it. I'm going to just let him take over and show what's going on here.
Cool. And so I have that shirt on the screen. I don't know. Let me see when it's going good to go. Do you see everything on the screen right now?
Yep. I see you pointing at Chameleon.
Perfect. Yes. Okay. So overall, some of these numbers you've seen already. Some of them you haven't. Basically, we'll go through the various things over here. Let me just give me 1 second here. Okay. Perfect. So yeah, some of these numbers over here you've seen already. Some of the sidebar. This can be the main rankings, and just it's a quick way of being able to look at the stats or whatnot. So for example, what you can see over here is if I click on 2021 and then just click on Tom, then we can see over here your top 100 over time. Just clean and simple what you have over here.
And for example. You mentioned that it's kind of a weirdness because one is better than 100.
Yes. Yeah. So over here, I had to find a specific tool to build out this graph where the lower numbers are higher up because that's the reverse of what you typically want in most data. But yeah, if we go ahead and click on, let's say, Le Havre, which is the number 1, we can quickly see its trend line over time, which is, I think, is just a fun way to look quickly at the numbers. Whenever you're doing the top 100, you're constantly like, and it was my number this last year, it was my number that last year. And so this just gives you a quick picture of how things are doing, how things adjusted over time. From there, there's a whole bunch of anything. And by the way, at any point, if you have any questions or anything you want me to focus on, just let me know.
Yeah, and I'm going to be watching chat. So if you all have a specific question, I might grab some of those out too.
Yeah, and I'll see how much I'm using an online tool right now as opposed to the desktop version, which has a little bit more flexibility. So the desktop version, I can actually do a lot more changes on the fly to the whole way the structure is built. The online one, I'm a little bit more limited to, well, what I already built. But a fun little thing that I added over here, something I didn't show you when I last showed you. I've added a whole bunch of new things, but I've added this whole first year appeared thing. So in the first year appeared, we can see all yours immediately. As soon as I filter that, I can say I want to see from your top 100 in 2021, which ones first appeared in 2021.
So Overpower's never been on my list, huh?
Supposedly. I mean, you tell me if you think I'm wrong. But if I click on it,
I'm
nothing
not,
here.
Well, I mean, it's been on my list, I guess, but maybe before I actually started recording the data. Like, if you had asked me in 1996, I would have told you that was my number 1.
Yeah, this goes back to 2005. I believe we have data back to 2005, which is already, I mean, it's more data than anyone has. Like, I just did my top 50. I would love to do this stuff with my data, but like I'm comparing it to last year's top 20, and that's it. You need a real, like, even within your own data, when you compare, let's say, the amount of information you have or the People's Choice has or Z has compared to Mike and Roy, it's just a lot less interesting information because of just time. Time is a
Well, that's why I'm excited that we've done the People's Choice 10 years now. Because that gives us, well, I mean, we have 10 years worth of data for People's Choice. That's exciting 100%. To me.
Yeah, so at a glance, we can see that the lowest title you have is The Crew, meaning The Crew, number 8. The first time it appeared on your list, jumped straight to number 8.
How many is there here?
There's, I think, let me see, I have it listed on the side, but if we count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 new to you on your 2021 picks.
Sure,
that's pretty
but
high.
Realize there's a few caveats to that. As in,
sure.
Starcadia Quest is really Arcadia Quest done over again. And Overpower just came back for me. Thunderstone Quest is Thunderstone. This is one of the problems we have when we do these stats, is that as games change, it's difficult to correlate those. Like, for example, Twilight Imperium 2 was one of my favorite games. Then Twilight Imperium 3, I knocked 2 off the list, and 4 knocked that out. Now 4 fell off. But how many new ones did I have in 2020?
In 2020, so if we click to wrong one. If we click to 2020 list and we go to your new to you in 2020, then we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. down to, a lot. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
And I wonder how many of those fell off the list. That's
Well, we
interesting.
have that. We have that information. I added a whole bunch of new fun things once I was going to be on. I mean, this might be a little mean, but once I realized I was on the show, I had to dress it up even further. So,
By the way,
yes.
Joshua says you have to play a game X times for it to remain at a particular number. No, not particularly. I don't really have any scientific data as to why stuff stays at a number.
Yeah, and so we actually have more of that over in the Cult of the New tab. There's going to be a whole bunch of tabs here. So speaking of which, we can head on over to group visuals, which is a quick way to, the way I envision this when I put this together. And again, it doesn't actually work out in practice. There's a lot of tricky things to make it work in the format of the top 100. But ideally, if you click through, if you're going through 97, you can immediately see everyone's choices. You can see 97, and then you can click to see how they changed over time just at a glance. That'll all change in this chart over here. So you can see right away that Relic Runners, which is Z's choice, you can see its quick traction as you're going through the 97. As you're going through, then you can click through to go to 96, and you can see that information. So Western Legends is going to be the people's choice, and it looks like it's just showed up this past year at 94, and then to 97, so a slow drop. So this particular page is more meant to go through the top 100 as you're going through it, with some of the same tweaks on the sidebar, being able to filter by person, by year, by new to the list, or things like that. From there, we're going to go to overlap, which is where we start getting to some of the fun things. And this is where I saw basically this whole chart is about the overlap you have with different people or different ways. So, for example, which two Dice Tower members, including the people, no, not including the people, which two Dice Tower members have the most in common?
It can't be Z. He can't be one of the two. So, because he has the most unique games on his list. I'm just guessing.
Yes, he does.
So, maybe Mike and Roy, actually. I don't know.
It's going to be you and Roy. You and Roy, if we click on your both names over here, you guys have 35 picks in common. So if we're including the people, it's actually you and the people. So you and the people have 38 picks in common, if I recall correctly. It's going to be 38. These are your picks in common down over here. So we can see all of those right there. That's what you have in common. And if we deselect, if we just look at everything, this is what you can see offhand. You can see Blood Rage is going to be your number 5 all time. This is the only one 5-way crossover that you actually have. And this list will give you all your specific crossovers. You can see your 2-way crossovers, your 1-way crossovers, just based on the number on the sidebar. And then this over here on the side is a score. So I actually have to invert the numbers. Basically, 1 becomes 100 and vice versa. So over here, Blood Rage has the highest collective score in addition to being a 5-way crossover, meaning that makes sense.
Is there a way to take that score
Yep.
and add in the fact that it wasn't on everyone's list?
So not necessarily, meaning you're saying if you exclude it from someone's list and then from the people that are remaining?
Well, what I mean is like divide it by 5. I mean, that's too strong, obviously.
Oh, I mean, in theory,
because if you do that, if you do that, then if it's on one person's list at number 1, it wins. But it's kind of like what Board Game Geek does, where games that get more ratings tend to be weighted down.
Yep.
So Scythe is really close behind Blood Rage.
Yes, it is. Meaning, even though Scythe is a 4-way crossover, in terms of absolute ranking and score, because Blood Rage on your various list was a much higher. If we click on Blood Rage, do I get to see your scores? Yeah, we can see the scores are 74, 73, 12, 10, and 10, which is pretty high for Blood Rage. But Scythe overall, when you click on that, you can see it's 15, 51, 29, 3, and 1, 1, which even though it's off somebody's list, manages to give it a higher overall score just because, this is 100 points. This is 97 points or 98 points. I don't know. It's one of those, whatever it is. But yeah, so basically you can see that even though it's off a full person's list, it manages to be pretty competitive over there.
So okay, let's see. What's the highest one that's only on 3 people's lists?
Ooh, so we'd have to, I don't even know how to do that. Let's see. Well, I mean, we could do it like this offhand, but this is definitely the least efficient way to do that. I can build out a filter. I'd have to build out a filter that picked 3 people. But right now I'm just doing the slow way of control clicking every single 3. Can I speed this up? Nope, does not let me speed it up. Yeah, this is...
Well, it's interesting because we're watching them get added as you do it. So 5 Tribes is currently winning.
Oh, there we go. And 5 Tribes. 5 Tribes will be the highest 3-way crossover, followed by Dune Imperium. Go Dune. I love Dune, by the way. It's an excellent game.
That's a pretty strong new entry. Viticulture. Dwellings of Eldervale is a pretty strong new entry, too.
Yeah. So Dwellings of Eldervale, by the way, will be, I believe, the number 1, and I don't think this is a surprise to you, but that will be the quickest the game went from being off the list to the highest immediate ranking, coming from 0 to 2 on Mike's list.
That's true. I think I was Dominion my number one my first year. I mean, not Dominion, Gloomhaven. Maybe Gloomhaven was not number one. I don't remember. That was in. Huh. Well, we can pull that up. You have that information. You can look at my Gloomhaven tracks throughout the year.
So if we go to individual games and we go to Gloomhaven and we type that in, so we select Gloomhaven and we can see, whoa, you're right. Oh my gosh, I was wrong with that. You're completely right. Gloomhaven went from number 1 in 2017. Jeez, and that was its first appearance. Good recollection. I was literally just going by the fact that it was number 2, and I didn't recall seeing a number 1.
Yeah, and I mean, some people like, oh, it's at number 4 now. That's again, we're
trash.
talking
Utter trash.
Yeah, utter trash. We joke about that, and I got some feedback that some people say, like, oh, you make that joke too much. But again, some people take these statistics seriously. I still tell the story of how a guy threatened to sue me years ago because he bought a game based on my review, then found out it wasn't in my top 100. So he felt like my review was erroneous.
You know what? I blame people for that, but then again, I remember one time in a Q&A where I had just gotten the Edge Dawnfall, like way back, this is a while ago, and I just played and I was excited about it, and I knew you liked it, and the Q&A asked like, oh, is this going to make it the top 100? And you're like, probably not. And I was like, darn, okay. So like, I'm also fallible. I did get rid of it in the end. That's a side point. But yeah. Very cool. Yeah, so that's going to be your number 1. So apparently I was wrong about that, but that's going to be the overlap thing. It's going to give you a quick idea of there.
Well, before you go any farther,
sure.
No, that 3 thing went away, didn't it?
This one over here?
No, can you go back to where you were with that? No, not Cult of the New, the overlap.
Yep, overlap. Cult of the New is a fun one. Okay, the 3
so
things
let's
you go
slide down a little bit. I'm curious. Oh no, on the other column, I'm curious to look at like a number that's low but was on a lot of people's lists. So can you click all the 4s?
Cool. Okay, so what's the lowest 4 that made its way to people's lists?
Right. I don't know. That sort of thing seems intriguing to me.
Yeah. That's going to be 154 with Res Arcana, and if we click on that, the scores were 95, 74, 68, and 13.
Gotta say, when the game's on my 95, it's a very precarious place to be for the following year.
It's not
it
good.
Could go up, right? But I mean, it might fall off. And 74 for the people. 74. Now this one was on the people's last year. I don't remember.
Can I see from this chart?
If only we could look at it.
Yeah, we could then just not. Actually, no. 1 second. What am I talking about? Right here, 2020. Nope. I literally have these dashboards set up on the side right here, so you can click to any given year. So last year it was 71 for you. Sliding down, 2018 it was not on anyone's list because it didn't exist yet. So that's easy enough.
Okay, and then the other one here that's lower, which is a little surprised. Go back to 2021. Oh, Near and Far, and I wonder if that one's going to slide, if only because Sleeping Gods came out, and he has the sequel to it coming out this year. So that's going to be really fascinating to see the changes as time goes by.
You have it as 30. Nice. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, these things are the changes. So we're going to have that more in Cult of the New or first appearances. I don't even remember. I have a whole bunch of these. But as for that, let's see, I'm trying to think that the information, I had like little notes in the sidebar of things that were interesting. So in terms of the 3, which 3 Dice Tower members have the most in common, including the people as well?
If you throw all 3 in?
Yeah.
Me, Mike, and the people. I'm going to take Roy out.
Nope. Tom, Mike, and Roy. Yeah.
Really?
Actually, no. Wait. No. Sorry. I think I was excluding the people. You're right. People have more in common with you. So I think that's true. So it's from the 4 of you. It's Tom, Mike, and Roy. And then yourself, you already gave this one away in the beginning, but you're the people's champion with 38 picks, with Roy coming shortly behind with 35 picks. And we can click on Roy and the people and see over here. Oh, I have to unfilter these. So Roy and the people and unfilter that. And literally click off all the stuff. Why is this not working? There we go. So we go 33 with Roy and the people. And then with you, it's 38, I believe.
And this kind of helps, stats like this help show something that we actually, there's always perceptions of what people like. Mm-hmm. For example, Z has the perception of liking short games, but you could look at his top games and realize that's not quite true. He has perception of liking weird, strange games, and you can look at the top 100 and see that is true.
Yes.
Roy is known as an Ameritrash storytelling game, and that's, that kind of bears it out. But Mike doesn't come across with that, but he likes a lot of the same games as Roy. Now, part of this is also done by the fact that the main 2 people I play games with these days are probably Roy and Mike.
Oh, so that's
So
going to
there's
be
probably
biased.
a little bit of bias there. Although we have definitely played a game and I walked away from the table going, I hate it. And they said, no, it's not that bad, or vice versa.
Cool. Yeah, and so that's going to be most of the overlap thing. So from there, the other thing I built out was going to be Cult of the New. And Cult of the New is exactly what it sounds like. This is focusing on literally just what's new to people. So for instance, if we focus in 2021, all 5 of your list, this graph will give you a breakdown of the year the game came out and what percentage of the top 100 is from which year. So, and this is from everyone. This is not filtered by any individual person yet.
I'm not seeing any 99 and before, but I know there's some games from there.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So for the sake of not having a million small sidebars, I lumped everything from 99 and before into 2000.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise you got a million tiny little slivers drafting back to all time, and it made this graph down here particularly hard to read some of the useful information.
Now, this is one area where there's usually a lot of criticism. People are like, oh, Cult of the New, Cult of the New. But
yes, indeed.
There's two things I would say. First of all, 20 years is a bigger period of time than you think. Secondly, more games come out each year now than in between 2000, any 2 years in the first 10 years of 2000. There's just that many games. And I think games build on each other. And this does seem to prove my point that 2016 was an amazing year. Do you have actual numbers? I see the pie
I have
graph.
everything. I have everything. So if you click down, we have 65 different titles. But again, this is everyone. This is not filtered to any one person yet. So we have 65 in the category of 2016. If we filter to just, let's say, yours, we would see, and you, by the way, I think have the worst Cult of the New problem in general. You had 17 that were new to the list. I don't know if you had the most Cult of the New. I have to double check what I had here.
I'm the only person who put a 2021 game on the list.
Yeah, that's going to be Adventure Tactics.
Yes, but I have no qualms in that because I've played that 9 times already this year, so I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Now, from the 5 of you, all 5, including the people, who do you believe has the fewest 2020 games?
Z. I know that because
I said all 5 of you.
Then the People's Choice.
Yeah,
and that's because it takes longer. There's 1,000 people.
Exactly.
So a lot of games don't have that widespread, and I actually like that. It feels like it's a control on our lists.
Now, there's one 2020 game here. There's only one. And if you could think of one 2020, I know I'm just going to
one 2020 game that made
what's a popular new game, very popular, that came out in 2020 that filtered down wide enough that everyone got their hands on it?
Well, I'm not going to count The Crew because even though that's 2020, BGG shows it as 2019.
Nice cheating. I like it. Nice. Okay,
but I mean
this is BGG
that's
data.
The case.
Yeah.
Okay, Viscounts didn't make the list yet, although that one I think came precariously close.
And I'm not following the chat, but guess
Elder
away in the chat.
No. Dune Imperium doesn't have the release yet. I'm trying to think of popular games.
You're going to beat yourself up.
No. Is it Calico? I don't remember if Calico made the list.
When you think of it, it's going to be like, oh, of course.
The most popular game that came out this year.
2020. I'm looking at the chat. Anyone at all? No one's guessing this one. What's the most popular 2020 game that filtered down into the mass public to the nth degree? And we got a winner in the chat. We got a winner.
Oh, Jaws of the Lion. You're right.
Jaws of the Lion.
But technically not a brand new game. But yes.
2020. I'm just counting it. But yeah, that would be the only 2020 game.
Is there a way to see if a 2019 game made the 2020 list?
So if we go to 2020 down here, then we can see. Ooh, I didn't even look at this. So apparently there's 2 from the People's Choice.
Okay, let me guess.
No idea what they are.
What 2 would have made? I think Paladins of the
West Kingdom. This game was much more fun when I knew the answers and I wasn't guessing.
Paladins of the West Kingdom would be one, I would guess, and the other would be Wingspan.
Ooh, Wingspan's a good choice. Let's find out. Tapestry and Wingspan. Stonemeyer Games. Wow, look at them.
You know, it's kind of funny. There's people on the internet are always like, Stonemeyer Games are overrated. I'm like, well, they're certainly rated, though. You know?
They're certainly rated.
I'm assuming you have not done a publisher thing yet.
Me a publisher thing in what sense?
Like
in this graph?
Check publishers throughout the different top 100.
No, so I actually really wanted to. I was watching. When I was watching.
Why haven't you done it yet?
Because I was watching a top 100 last minute. So it's a longer answer. I mean, I will have to talk about it later as well. But I do want to tie more of this stuff to BGG because I have that information at my fingertips once I do it properly. Publishers, designers, all that information. Because I was watching a top 100 and there was, I can't remember if it was a designer or a publisher that you had a lot of them on your list, and you were talking about it. And I was like, I wish I had more time to add more stuff to the graph and charts because I wanted to get that
I
information.
keep meaning to do that. It does take time, though. I keep meaning to go through my own list and count up like who's my favorite designers and my favorite publishers, because
you won't need to. Assuming you trust BGG data, once we just tie in BGG IDs, I can get that information for you at the drop of a hat.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything that saved me more. So let's go back to Cold and the New here. Now let's do the same one more time. Let's do 2018. Now,
by the way, so going to the other answer, Z was the second most with only 3 games in 2020.
Yeah, and I was a little surprised about that, but Z is more thoughtful about adding games to his. He does not play a game and like go, this is the greatest game of all time. He's more thoughtful in that regard. That's very different to me. I'll play a game and go, amazing, I love it. I'll never stop loving it. You know.
Yeah. And an overall fun fact about that Cult of the New aspect is on a consistent basis as we go through each year, and I'll go through each one. Generally, the past 5 years of games make up the top 50%. So like you can see over here, the top 5 make up roughly a little over 50%. In 2020, again, the top 5 make up roughly 50%. Again, 2018, you're going to see consistently it's roughly the top past 5 years make up 50% of the data.
Oh,
so
wow,
like you'll
this is
see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I see that
really
2000 slice keeps getting bigger.
Yes, that's a good point. You're right. The 2000 list does get bigger. Fun fact: while we're on the subject, how many games from the year 2000 do you believe you still have on your list? How many games from 2000 and before were in your top 100?
Ooh, that is a good choice. Off the top of my head, obviously Overpower, El Grande, Cosmic Encounter. Although Cosmic Encounter might be on your list as 2005 when it was republished.
Oh, there's
by
some
Fantasy
weird
Flight.
stuff like that, possibly.
I'll say 5.
Okay, let's see if we can find out. I believe we have 7 over here. Now, so you can actually see, by the way.
Well, where are they?
Over here. So what are they? So let's go. If we go through them, not Cosmic Encounter. So Cosmic Encounter would be technically part of that.
Right. So Pitch Car, which was Carabande when it first came out. El Grande is 95. Overpower 96. Time's Up is 99. War Chest is a new game, so War Chest must be an error.
So
in
there's
BGG.
some things if there's a title on BGG, because I matched it up by title and not specifically matching it up manually. If there's a game called War Chest and a game called War Chest, it would just pull one of them.
Balderdash is from the 80s, and then Dream Factory was that must be close to 99 too, or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I like that. Well, let's see. I want to see
So a fun
Z's
one. Let me just show
list.
you this. So if you see this graph down here, this is a fun way of looking at things. You can see the filtering down of different years as the years went by. This is specifically your list right now. So you can see, for instance, this year is 2005. You had a bunch of 2004 games, and you can see that slice getting smaller and smaller as the years go on. You can literally see the years dropping down as the years go on. Which ones make it? Which ones stay?
This does not bother me at all, actually. I know that some people look at this as a negative, but I think older games feel older after a while. And the ones that don't, those are like the true amazing games. But can you go, I want to go back to 2005. Let's look at 2005 itself.
Okay.
The first,
2005,
the first
first
time.
year. Whoa.
So
big slice of 2000 before.
So I apparently had some games that came out. I was very futuristic here.
So there's some things like this. I've noticed things like this. Like for instance, that might be Through the Ages. I wonder what that is. That is Robo Rally. So whenever this Robo Rally has a reprint, and like Through the Ages has another one. So you have Through the Ages, which was 2005, and then the reprint was like 2012 or 2013 or whatever it was. So you're gonna have weird futuristic things like that. Like we can see Runebound, here we go. Through the Ages was in the 2015 category there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I like this. So there are 2004, 2003, 2 and 1. That's interesting.
Yep.
So I almost had half my games were 2000 and before, and now it's like 5.
Just 7, but again, that's 2005. The sheer gap in data makes sense. It's what you said. Like, I mean, if you're adding 17 new games a year, and then some of those 17 will fall off, and then some of those will fall off, so it's going to be a consistent fight to be in that top 100. And the ones that made it over time, like if we go to first appearances, which is a different chart over here, but let's look at specifically you, and we go to Tom and 2021. So this tracks not by year. This particular list, and this one's a little tricky. I was only able to do this based on your list, but I need to figure out some numbers and formulas of how to make this apply to everyone and work at the same time, which I couldn't do. But this is not tracking the year that it showed up. Sorry, this is not tracking the game by year, but rather the year that was first on the list. So for example, in 2005, everything was the first on the list because that's the data I'm working with. Versus in 2006, you have another 18 new games to the list. In 2007, you have 13 of those 18. You have 77 of the original 100. So you can see this is not by year of the game, but rather your own year, what's lasting. So you
Oh,
can see there's
wow.
12 games from your original top 2005. There's 12 games left.
By the way, I guess I should mention for people watching, if you might have noticed there's a gap of 2019, and that's just because
Yep.
I was originally doing these lists in September, and in 2019 I decided it would make more sense for us to do it fun to do it during the Kickstarter, so I pushed it ahead 4 months into January. So we sort of skipped a year, but not really, because the other ones, the 2018, 2017, those took place during those years. 2020 and 21 happened at the beginning. They're really, if you think about them, they're really 2019 and 2020. Like, the
Yeah.
2021 list only has one game from 2021 on it. So,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with that. It's just going to be weird. That's why there's that no bar there in the data, that white spot.
Yeah. But yeah, you can see your list over time. This is how your list is migrated
Someone
over
wants to know if
time.
they can see the 12 survivors.
Yes, let's go through. Let's click on that. And we have Dream Factory, Balderdash, Yinch, Vabanque, Heroescape, Puerto Rico, Time's Up, Ticket to Ride, Domain, El Grande, Pitch Car, and of course, Cosmic Encounter.
Now, there are a couple of those games, Vabanque is one, Yinch is another, that were not always on the list. They did.
Yeah, so you
they
see-
have popped on and off.
You can see over here in 2020, you only have 10 from your original 2005, and then 2021, you have 12. It went back up again.
I got nostalgic this past year. All right, I want to look at the
Not
same
good.
stuff for Z and then the People's Choice.
So this particular type of list you can't do for like if you click on the People's Choice, for instance, and again, it's a formula I need to work on. I only started adding this stuff like 5 days ago. So, but like you can see the People's Choice, it's technically pulling from the first year was on your list. I need to figure out the formula to separate those two, which I don't currently have.
Oh, but we
So
can
this is
still
the-
look at the years, right, though?
No, but this so years, yes, yeah. For years, you can look at that. Yeah.
That's what I meant. So let's look at the People's Choice here. So this is, and let's take a look at 2021 because
There we go. I was gonna say, why is there no date up here? Yeah.
Okay, so they're gonna have fewer games that are from the past year just because they're not in wide release. But you can see that the formula still holds pretty true. 2019 has a ton, and 18, 17, and 16. Is there a way to combine all these?
In what sense? To
Like,
just see
can
all
you look
the time?
at all of our lists? Can you click on the name and
yeah,
all
just-
of them?
Boom. Oh, so it's a little tricky. So you could see them all. The problem is since you have different starting points, this is counting an absolute number, which means like you see over here, this is counting up to 100 over here. But then in 2000, when you add the people's list in 2011, suddenly starts going up. So it's a little more all over the place because of that. Meaning it's the same formula ultimately, but it's because you have different starting points. Being able to see that clear trend line is harder.
Steven asked a question, is it possible to see the total number of games that have ever been in my top 100?
Ooh, the total number of games that have ever been in your top 100. That should be possible.
By the way, thank you, Gator Dave.
If we click Tom and we just unfilter by year entirely, then we have 320 games because this is still your top 100. Yep, that's true. Rank is equal less than 100. Yeah, perfect. So we have 320 games is 20%. So whatever that full pie chart is, 320 times, I don't know, times 5. So 1,500, 1,600 games.
Actually, we can do it exactly. What's the exact percentage there?
19.86.
320 equals that. So am I dividing? I'm dividing by.
Divide by 19.86. Yeah.
Got it.
Or
So that's
0.1986.
1611.
Yep.
Give or
1,611
take.
games.
It could be 12, 13, or whatever,
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow. So, and I've been doing it for 16 years almost.
Yep.
Huh. Well, those numbers don't make sense then because I don't add 100
No,
games each year.
one second. Oh, interesting. No, so I wonder, it's probably, this particular chart is probably double counting every single thing. Interesting. So if I unfilter it, it's pulling each. So interesting. So I can't, this particular chart works by year only, that means.
You're right.
That's
So it's 1,600
Okay.
games because I did it for 16
Yeah.
years. Okay. So
Okay, so let me see if there's another chart I have. And on my desktop, I'd be able to do this in a second, but I have to like work with what I have and I can't build new stuff. So can I go to any game and see? Oh my gosh.
by the way,
I
Doodle says,
don't
happy
know.
to see Alex on Dice Tower from a fellow Clevelander.
Oh, hey, Doodle. How's it going? I wonder. I don't know if I can right here, but you know what? We'll keep talking, and I'll put up my desktop because I can do it easily enough.
That's true. We can see your desktop. It doesn't really matter if it's online or not, right?
Yep. But anyway, so we'll keep going from there. So, and then I'll get back to that question in a second.
Yeah, the Cult of the New is currently my favorite tab. Oh, and we didn't look at Z's yet. Let's look at Z's
So if we
Cult
look
of
at
the New.
Z's. Yep. And Z missed 2015. Is that an answer there, or is that just missing data?
Back then, we were doing like Z as a stretch goal. So we did 2014. And then starting in 16, it was just every year then.
Cool.
Okay, so he definitely is not as Cult of the New. His slice is, if you look at the past 5 years, is smaller.
So his slice in the past 5 years, yeah, very much so. But he, like you said already, he sticks with what's there already.
He's a consistent person, unlike the volatile Vasel. Ooh, that's my new wrestling name, volatile Vasel.
Okay.
Someone's asked about Sam's list and other lists. We only put in the main list that we have right now, but we have data on everyone's lists. But we were just looking at the ones that happened this year.
Yeah, and I'm having trouble actually pulling up the other file, so it looks like I won't be able to get that right now. But yeah.
All right, no worries. All right, so, can we go back to People's Choice real quick?
Sure.
And I would like to see what they did in the first year, 2011, way back when.
So if we go to 2011 over here. Okay.
All right, so they were a few from 2011, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Interesting. Now, another interesting fact or a thing that's going to affect the data is, for the life of me, I don't remember when I did the People's Choice each year. I did it probably at various points in the year.
Okay.
Now we're doing it on a consistent. It's going to be in January. But back then, I was just kind of doing it at different points. So perhaps in 2011, it's possible I did it late in 2011. Therefore, that's why there's 2011 games on the list.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. And by the way, so what I found particularly interesting is if you look at Roy, you have the most list in terms of this year. You have the most games from before 2000, and that makes sense because you've been doing this for a long time. And then Z has 6, not 7, so 1 less than you, 6, and his 6 are going to be your bluffing, shot and tot, and Prudo, Baldash, Fiddles, and compatibility. What I found very interesting is Roy is also tied with 6, which I thought Roy, I mean, just being a young guy, just biased, I thought he wouldn't have that many older games.
Yeah, but I mean, we were all alive before 2000, and he put games on here with nostalgic factor and things that he played when he was a kid, too. Yeah. So.
And then Mike has, I think, 2 Dream Factory and Raw, and then
Mike
People's
is Cult
Choice.
of the New. That's look at that garbage.
Yeah, and this is going to be the People's Choice: Catan, Robinson Crusoe, and Carcassonne. Robinson Crusoe is not pre-2000. That's going to be another typo thing. That's going to be another game in the system called Robinson Crusoe that isn't Robinson Crusoe. But yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Catan and Carcassonne aren't any real surprises there.
Yep. Those two have been around for quite some time. And then what year, by the way, before I click out of this, what year do you think is the most popular in 2021? Which board game year had the most prevalence in the top everyone's, basically?
Oh, when I do everybody's?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the easy answer would be 20. I'm sorry, 19. But I'm sticking with this 16. It's either, if it's not 19, it's 16. Because 16 was such a strong year.
So your easy answer is the way to go. 2019, let's say I have to unclick this over here, but 2019 had the biggest slice at 72 titles, 14.3%. 2016 had 65. It's actually the second biggest. So you're on point with, the stuff.
Well, that's only because 16 is 5 years ago, and we just went through it. And 16, if you click 16, I feel very confident. Are the better numbers at the bottom, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think Terraforming Mars, Great Western Trail, Scythe, and Gloomhaven are falling off the list anytime soon.
Yep.
So I feel like, and Clank, Spirit Island, Feast for Odin, it was such an amazing year for games that are still being talked about, are still being played. I mean, look at 2015, for example, which is only 1 year before it. And Blood Rage is there.
Spectre Ops is the highest. Oh my gosh, you're right. That's a terrible year. Wait, Blood Rage is. Oh my gosh, what is up with people? This is 2020.
Well, no, I mean, there's Blood Rage and there's Seven Wonders.
This is average, by the way. Just this is the average rank, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, so it's it's gonna be a little skewed here because Spectre Ops was ranked very highly by Roy. So that so it wasn't even on anyone. I think his was the only list, right? Yeah,
and so that could well be. Meaning, does it show everyone's list? I don't remember if I click. No, this particular page doesn't show the breakdown of a person. So yeah, there's no way to see that there. But yeah, so Blood Rage, you're right. Blood Rage is seeing a higher number, even though it's technically not. The average counts 0 as not there, as opposed to counting it as 0. Sorry, it counts not there as opposed to 0. Yeah.
All right, cool.
But that's gonna be that. So this, I was very intrigued by the whole Cult of the New. And like I said, I really wanted to throw in publishers and designers too, because I think that'd be fascinating. And once you're doing that, by the way, throwing an artist is not hard either. So saying, oh, who's the most popular artist in the top
See,
100?
that's like stats that nobody talks about.
Yeah, but once you have the BGG IDs, because I have all the data like all synced up, basically, you can easily just pull that in, and it just will require some cleaning. Like you see over here, we have games like War Chest and Robinson Crusoe that are just linking to a random item that not the correct item. But that's it's not a big cleaning job. It's the first initial cleaning is the hardest, because you have, like I said, 100. You have I think there was 800 games cumulatively amongst. Oh, actually, this is funny. So going back to the earlier question, if I'm not mistaken, I think there were a total of 850 games making up this entire database over here.
Okay, that sounds reasonable, and that's not just me.
That's not just you. That's everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's reasonable, I think. And again, there's a lot of good games that aren't going to make anyone's top 100, but are still really solid games. There's just so many good games out there.
Well, hey, if you start extrapolating it out to 350 or a top 1,000, we can start throwing that in here as well.
That's true, but I feel like I may be the only person to do that. I'm not going to ask anyone else. I think 100 is more than most people can handle anyway. When you do 100, most people, you're going to be putting games on there that you like. Okay.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, that's why
that's
even
not
myself,
a negative statement at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see anything else interesting here that I particularly individual games was just this is where you can search for games. First appearances was specifically, like I said, about when a game showed up on your ranking. It's really, this one only works for you. I don't think there's anything. I mean, I just like the prettiness of this chart, honestly. I like the way the numbers filter down. It's a nice reminder of how temporary things are. Cult of the New
I wonder,
is specifically.
Can you go back to that first appearance? I wonder what year the first appearances disappeared the most.
Oh, which saw the biggest drop off?
Yeah, so
I mean, the first appearances you're gonna see a big drop just from year 1 to year 2. It's like a drop off of, I don't know why there's 101. That's a flaw in some way. But you're gonna see 17 games off your top 101 games of all time.
Well, you know what? Part of it is also 2005 is a straight blue bar, but it's technically not.
Yeah.
If you think about it, because I've been building that up for the 10 years before that.
Yeah.
So the black bar is the first true data.
Yeah. So in that sense, big drop-offs. I don't have that specifically, but let's see. We see a big drop-off of yellow here, 13 down to 9. That's actually not that big. I'm wondering, this 17 down to 14, it's only 3. Like, there's small margins. Things stick around. They do stick around to a certain degree when they first show up. Are there any? What is the biggest singular gap? There's a formula I could write for that, but I don't know what it is right now offhand. But
interesting. You'll be able to, like you said, with the BG, we can sort things by number of players. Like, I wonder how many 2-player only games are on these lists and things like that.
Oh, that's intriguing. That's a good idea. Yeah, I don't have that offhand.
Or length of games, or all kinds of stuff. BGG gets a lot of negative people talking about it over the years, but holy cow, do I love the database section of it. There's so much information there.
They have everything. They have absolutely everything. We have 9 from 13. No, like, I'm seeing the biggest drops I'm seeing are like 4. Like a 4. I don't see anything bigger than a 4 offhand. Oh, 9 to 5. Nope, still a 4. Yeah, I can't find any gap that's larger than a 4 in terms of how fast things drop off. Although this one's fascinating. 1 second. What's going on here? In 2007, I feel like there's a flaw in this data here, because I'm seeing 2007 was the first year. Oh, no, that's weird. So you see what's happening here, Tom?
Yeah.
So over here, we have 10.
16.
No, how's that? That's not possible. These 16 games, if we unfilter, are going to be Mission Red Planet, all of those. And originally, in 2007, that's some sort of bug. I need to take a look. Oh, nope, that's not O. I was going to say, you're still the only one who had data that far back. Yeah. I don't know. That seems sort of like, I'm going to take credit for that bug, because that seems like a mistake. You can't have 16 games that showed up on your list in 2007 when only 10 games showed up on your list in 2007. Yeah.
Does anyone here who's watching, does anyone have any questions for Alex about these stats? I mean, we can pull stuff up and look at it. Is something specific you want to see? Let us know, because there's a lot of interesting things here. I like to see, can I see my rankings for El Grande? That's one of the games that's been on my list since the very beginning. I'm just curious where.
Yeah. Papatum and El Grande. Whoa, you went up and down on that one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Let me just bumping that up.
I would say the people's rank usually is going to be the most steady curve. It's going to go up and down as time goes by.
Yeah, I
And
mean that's just the nature of an aggregate as opposed to, I mean, at any given thing. Like I've just put together my own list this year, and I was sitting there and I'm like, I even as I'm saying the ranking of the games, there are games I'm like, nope, that's going to be higher next year. That one's going to be lower next year. Some of it's based on how we play it. Versus a larger subset of people, it's going to have less fluctuation just by the nature of averages.
someone had a question about can you see how many games have only appeared once?
Ooh, oh my gosh, I wish my desktop was working. Can I see how many games have only appeared once? So if I go to first appearances, no, Cult of the New, and I unfilter by year, that should theoretically do it. None? It looks like the answer is none.
Well, that can't be right because there's some games that came out
Oh,
this year.
one second.
That would
Oh,
be
wait,
the
is this
first
graph? This graph is average of rank. Oh, I have to take off the rank. I have to change it to, can I even change that? No, I can't change it here, unfortunately. Yeah, this is where if I had the desktop thing working. So this is doing it based off the rank as opposed to the count. Does overlap count it? Overlap should count that. If I do 2021 and scroll down, anything that shows up only once should theoretically be the games that only showed up once.
Well, there's a lot.
Yeah,
There's a lot, guys.
in theory. Again, right now I'm trying to like hack the graphs I have to give me the information I want. Although I don't know if that's even true. Yeah, that is true. Because you can see over here, there's obviously not 34 overlap, which means there's 34 instances of cosmic encounter showing up in all lists.
From me.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
I think it's been
yeah,
on
it's
the
gonna be
People's
biased.
Choice like 8 years, and I know it's been on Z's list. So
Well, that's
it's-
actually a fun one. So if we go back just the past 3 years, let's say you just go past 3 years where we have like as much, like a little bit more of an overlap. Blood Rage is still the highest rated, but by a larger margin. Blood Rage really has staying power. And then Deception, Murder in Hong Kong is on the
go all
most
the way
list
back
after
to
that.
let's do 5 years. So,
Okay.
Blood
Yeah,
Rage,
this is a good chart for seeing staying power over time in general.
Blood Rage wins, and then Cosmic Encounter, Viticulture, Five Tribes, Scythe, Deception, Race for the Galaxy, Seven Wonders, Duel, Pandemic. You get those 10 games in your library, you got a good library. You really do. And you got a
Solid library.
library. You got a library that can cover a lot of things too. You got a party game there. You got an Ameritrash. I like that.
Negotiation, Euro, all that stuff. Yeah, deduction, social deduction, 2-player game.
Gator Dave is asking if you have a BI background. I don't know what that means. Was that
Oh, Power BI. So this tool is called Microsoft Power BI. I have a background in the sense that I wanted to figure out statistics for my business for my day job, and I needed to find something, and so I started Googling how to use Power BI. So that's my BI background. I've never used any other business analytics tool or business information tool. I am familiar with a bunch of others because we looked into them when I was choosing Power BI, but my background is just going to be this.
Alrighty. Can you filter these games as Kickstarter versus retail? Not yet.
Oh no, not yet. So
Even
it's
BGG,
actually,
I don't know if they have a.
so no, they have a category. They have something called a family, and that family is called crowdfunding, Kickstarter, just crowdfunding. I don't know if I have that information, but I can, again, for 2021 or for next year, whatever it is, we have a whole year to figure out whatever else you want to see here. But I think you should be able to. I will say the category is not as accurate as I would like, especially with newer titles. So things that are coming up, they often will not have the tag or the family correctly applied. But in general, across all time, it's still a pretty useful thing.
And Jeremiah,
And that's actually funny. I could actually say this is unrelated to your top 100 because I didn't do it for this, but in the BGG top 100, I have to double check the number, but I think like 28 of the BGG top 100 are Kickstarter games.
Yeah, that makes sense. Jeremiah wants to see 3-way crossovers between Tom, Roy, and the people.
Tom, Roy, and the people for the past 5 years. For this year, I don't know what you want to see.
I guess
specifically.
it's just this year because Roy's only done it in the last 2 anyway.
Yep. Oh.
Wow, there's
Oh,
a lot.
why is, well, more important. Oh, there we go. Here we are. 3 acrostics. Blood Rage, Champions of Midgard, Chronicles of Crime, Clank, Dominion, Clank Legacy specifically, Dominion, Gloomhaven, Legendary, Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition, Near and Far, Race for the Galaxy, Res Arcana, Rising Sun, Root, Scythe, Space Base, 7th Continent, The Crew, and Western Legends.
All right, then Thomas wants to know, can you do an aggregated top 25 from all 5 lists for 2021? Well, we've already shown that, but
Yeah.
we could show it again. That's just the overlap for everybody, right?
Yeah. So this would just be, oh yeah, here we just click on that, and this just shows, I mean,
can see it
it's
there.
not going to show, what do you mean by top 25? That's what I'm curious about.
Well, just over
what
there, he's
shows
showing
up?
Blood Rage side.
Gotcha.
an
Unless, no, if you wanted to see an aggregate from the top 25, I need the desktop tool. I can punch in all these filters on the side that say only show, actually, maybe I can show, no, it doesn't have it, darn it. Can I do this? No, I can't add more filters here.
All right.
Filters, yeah.
TB says, is it possible to see who had the highest rated crossover with the people, but not just the most games, but the best ratings?
Ooh, ooh. Can you do that? So if we
Well, couldn't
went
we do
to,
that right here?
so to a certain extent, so when we click on this one and this, and again, this is the desktop versus online. Over here, this is done over here by count. Normally, I could literally just slide in rank instead and just plug and play that and it would adjust that. Otherwise, you'd have to like somehow go down here and add all these up, which is not a fun process.
Got it.
But yeah, maybe next year we can do what's it called, or whenever we can do desktop one. I'll get this all set up. But right now, my thing is just not opening.
All right. Valorian wants to know, is there a game that has risen for the people over time?
I mean, there's going to be a lot, but what specifically?
Well, that's
I mean, in
in
general,
the
if we
group.
look.
How do we do that? It's in the
No,
main
so
rankings?
the fastest way would just be to go down to main rankings, filter to the people, and then this chart with all the information is going to just show you let's go to 2020, let's get rid of first year appeared. And so just, I mean, if we click on any single title, you can see this one is dropped, Century Golem Edition dropped.
Yeah, start from
Wonderful
one.
World.
Start from
Oh,
one
yeah.
and go down.
Because, yeah, usually those are rising, you're right.
So Wingspan
So, yeah.
went up just by one. Let's look for one that's gone up like Terraforming
Nope.
Mars. Yeah.
19 to 3, Gloomhaven from 47 to 4. So Gloomhaven, it took some time to catch up. Like
Most
47
games,
to 4.
most games like anything in life are going to have a curve.
Yep.
They're going to go up real high and then they're eventually going to fall down. Like here's a Pandemic Legacy Season 1 that had you could see the curve already there.
Yep. And over here, by the way, as well, I also have, when I click on any individual game, you see the Board Game Geek rank and the year published. So Viticulture, which came out in 2013, only showed up in the People's List in 2015, and then slowly made its way up until it's
Someone
really
wants
just
to see
stayed consistent.
Puerto Rico. See where that's.
Puerto Rico, can I even find it? So if I
Well,
search
no, you can do that on
here-
individual games, right?
Yeah, but this one, I think, here we go, Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico on the People's Choice is going to have this graph, but if we unfilter from the people, you can see it is on nobody's list. One second, what's happening here? Nobody else has Puerto Rico on the list. Is that true?
No, it's been on my list.
So what's happening here? 2021. Oh, I think this is... No. Okay, so let me go to the individual games. That should show it properly. It might be it's aggregating the data. Okay, so if we go to Puerto Rico, yep, there we go. So people's rank over time is down here, and then your rank is up here, and Z, Roy, and Mike have nothing on Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
You had a big drop on Puerto Rico.
Well, I mean, it just goes from year to year, and you'll notice it was off the list the one year. It started at
Yeah.
94. I remember when I did this in 2005, I was doing it live, and I mentioned it was 94, and there was like an ovation in the audience from like 20 people who thought Puerto Rico was overrated, and they thought it being 94 on my list was pretty
Was a
low.
testament against it.
Which at the time was a much like 94 in 2005 would be like my 940 today.
I bet in this case it's 77. Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, you're saying interesting. You're saying the pure subset of amount of games we're dealing with. Wow, that's an interesting point.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't give you that information though. Like I don't keep track at any given point of how many games I put. I could tell you like right now it's really close to 7,000. You know, so but
You're saying you've played 7,000 games?
Yeah, well, I feel pretty confident. I don't know if
I believe it.
If I go to Board Game Geek, I can look at the ones that I've rated, but I haven't rated every game I've played.
No, I believe it. I'm at somewhere north of 1,000, and I'm pretty sure you play more games than I do.
So I have rated here. I've rated 6,994 games. Yeah, so I've definitely played 7,000 because I haven't rated every game that I've played. So 100 out of 7,000 is what percentage? That is 1/70th, which is what is that?
1.43% or something like that.
Yeah. So these, if a game is in my top 100, it's a really small percentage of the games I like. It's the 1%. The other games march against it. All right, let me see. Someone asked me about escape room games. I included them in, what year did I include that in? That probably messed with your data because there's no...
It definitely did. I just think I just used unlock. I literally just chose a token unlock, although you're not in here, so maybe you chose exit. Maybe you even called it. I don't even know what you would have done.
Try escape.
What would you have? Escape room. Okay.
Escape room the game. Yeah, there it is. So in 2018, I said escape room games as a genre are my number 5 because I didn't want to rank them all separately. It's kind of a weird thing. And then I decided last year in 2020 to just take it off the list completely. Where would it be? Well, it's kind of a weird thing. It's kind of like putting jigsaw puzzles, in a sense.
But it's an actual game and they're fun.
No.
I mean, I hear
I
you,
don't
but yeah.
disagree, but how do I separate them out?
I think you do it by genre. I think I think there's a lot of these compromises that have to be made with data. It's unfortunate, but it's an exception. So the choice is to either exclude them entirely, separate them out, which would be meaningless, or lump them together as a single item.
I excluded them, but I would say it's still probably in my top 10 of type. In fact, I played one today. I got the newest unlocked games in, and I was like, "Come on, kids, let's do it."
So I would probably break it down by category. I wouldn't do full escape room. I would do exit as one category, unlock as another, because they're each its own
but
system.
then it still might make my top. I don't want my top 100 cluttered with that many of those things, because that takes out a lot of other games, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I hear it's interesting. Whenever I put a party game into the top, like when I put a party game into my top 50, what I always feel a little bit bad because I'm like, I don't want to play monikers more than half a dozen of my other games, but as a party game, it's so good. It's always this interesting balance.
That's
rating
true.
genres.
I don't mind that, but escape room, they're one-time things also, and I have a difficult time with legacy games in my top 100 for that same reason.
Okay.
Because top 100 is kind of like, how much do I want to play that game right now?
Well, I've played Pandemic Legacy Season 1 and Season 2 twice each, so I'm okay with it.
Well, sure, and then I think that's legit. But what if I don't? Then can it still stay on the thing? I don't know in that regard. So, Bonnie Cruz says, "Can we see how many games never cracked into the top 50?"
Interesting. Can we see if I filter to? I don't think I'd have that information offhand here. Again, something I could do in the desktop, but not online. Yeah, online I'm only able to kind of mess with the graphs we have as opposed to create new ones.
Is there a way to see games that have been number ones, like all the number ones?
Oh, that should be theoretical. This is average of ranks, so we don't want that. If we go to Cult of the New, that's average ranks. If we go to main rankings, oh, 1 second, here, I got it. We go to group visuals, we unfilter by year, and we select rank 1.
All right, so this should be interesting. All right, so let's see. Why does Pandemic have 2 lines?
So
there?
this is going to be showing up for 2 different people. Both what's it called? People's Choice and Z have given it the number 1 at different points.
Oh, so if we click on any one of those, what will show?
So if we just click on it, you'll just see the graph of that individual person.
People want to see which game has gotten the most number ones. So, Z gave Pandemic 4 number ones. And
Z, what do you mean 4? Like it was number 1 4 times?
It was number 1 4 times.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yep, interesting.
And then for the People's Choice, it was also 4, I believe.
Well, let's see if we just click separately. It's going to be 4. Right. Yep. So Pandemic is the number 1 4 times each. Okay, that's interesting. So this is a bit of a hack to get the data, but it works. Wingspan won't get it. Trial Imperium won't get it. Scythe gets it twice, followed by another 3 times. So that's 5. Looks like Pandemic's going to win. Marvel Champions will inherently can't have it.
Gloomhaven got once. Duel of Ages.
No,
Duel of Ages I get 5 years in a row.
5 years of Duel. Wait, no, Cosmic Encounter might beat. Cosmic Encounter. Nope. Cosmic Encounter is only 5.
No, isn't that 6? Oh, no, does that... Why is that one...
No, this is there. It's there.
I don't know, but
why is there...
Showing. Why is it... Yeah, so that's like 7 years in a row, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, 7. 7 years. 1, 2, 3. I don't know why it's only showing the numbers infrequently, but yeah. 7 years. So it's Cosmic Encounter. So you, even with all your love for Cosmic Encounter, you couldn't beat the combined love of Z and the people.
Oh, we're combining those. Fine. You're right. Yeah. No, that's right. So Pandemic has it 8 times, and it'll be interesting to see where that was. Because Scythe, what does Scythe have? Because Scythe was, I think Scythe has 2 from Mike and 3 from the people. 1, 2, 3. Interesting. Good question. All right. And
you could obviously do the same with 2, 3, etc.
Can we see how many games on Z's 2021 list were not on anyone else's list?
Ooh. Can we get into an exclusionary report? So I think we'd have to go to Overlap 2021 Z, and then no, we don't. Oh, interesting. That's a problem. I can't filter this by person because I can find the number of people. So I'm looking for Z's list that has overlap with no one else. Interesting. So we want. Okay. So what was the question again?
They want to see how many games on Z's list were not in other people's lists.
Interesting. So I don't think I can do that inherently. I can do overlap with any individual person and show you the. Oh, 1 second. If I do this Oh, if we do, nope, that won't work. That's not going to do it. No, I need to find some sort of way of comparing. Because I compare Z to Tom, and you'll see all his ones are not on your list. The problem is, as soon as I add one person, it's looking at any individual. It's not looking at Z by himself. So I can't pull up Z's exceptions. I can pull up Z's overlap. I can see Z with Tom has these as his overlap. Z with Roy has these as his overlap. But I can't pull up any individual exception currently.
Troy says, can the system show the disparity between Tom's top 10 essentialists and where they sit on his best games of all time? It doesn't, because I didn't give Alex that data. But let me explain.
No, but I want that data now.
Those are two very different things. Me saying a game is essential, I think that people should get, which is, again, tongue-in-cheek. I don't think any game everyone should have. But like 10 games that you should get does not necessarily mean they're my favorite games. I think they're games I'm trying to pick closer to the people's choice. I think my top 10 essential list will cross over the people's 100 more than my own. I would hope.
Yeah, I imagine. Sure, from Nottingham, for instance, yeah.
So here's a question, I don't mean to put you on the spot there. Someone asks, is this going to be publicly available? Or what if someone wanted to mess with this? How could they?
Interesting. That's a great question. I'd have to take a look at what it takes to actually publish this. It shouldn't be the hardest thing. I believe that Power BI has the capacity to actually publish information online. I just haven't actually gone through that process yet myself. So I know it's doable. I just don't know what the best way is. But I mean, you and I can talk after, and if we can figure out what needs to be done and whether you're comfortable with it, and I'm down.
All right, the Bonnie crew wants to see crossovers between Mike and Z.
Mike and Z. Okay. Mike and Z have a total of 15 crossovers. Abyss, Atlantis Rising, Blood Rage, which we knew by now, Cthulhu Death May Die, Deception, Everdell, Five Tribes, Let's Make a Bus Route, Paper Tales, Rising 5, Bloody Inn, The Others, Quest for El Dorado, and Wingspan.
Huh.
Yeah. And by the way, this is the same information that it has up here. This chart is literally just so I can quickly say 15 instead of counting one at a time.
Can you predict most likely to still be around in 2022? Like on the People's Choice, can you pull up the People's Choice?
Yeah.
I mean, really, the People's Choice does not have dramatic changes as much because there's a lot of things. So I would say, for example, the top 10 of the People's Choice from last year, I think the farthest one dropped down was in the top 20. So the same thing's going to happen. Ones that will fall off the list here, well, let me look at these. So these are the bottom, right?
Yep.
I think It's a Wonderful World might move up because it's getting more and more popular. Seventh Continent might fall off just because there's a lot of other games similar to it.
You're saying It's a Wonderful World will go to 1?
No. I think it will move up on the list. I think it will stay on the list. I don't think it will fall off.
Oh, wait a second. This is by ranks. This is the reverse direction. Sorry. Wingspan is going to be the highest.
No.
Okay,
so
got
I'm saying forget that. The bottom ones are the ones that have a chance. I think Century Golem Edition might fall off. It's a Wonderful World might stay on. Barren Park off. Western Legends off, maybe. Seventh Continent off. Near and Far. Again, I think the same thing. Cult of the New Sushi Go Party might stick around. Although that one causes some problems because there's Sushi Go Party and Sushi Go, so the vote could be split.
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Rings, that's Lord of the Rings. Is that
Journeys
of Middle Earth?
Oh, no, Journeys of Middle Earth. You're right. No, you're right. You're right.
It depends on the content they release this year. Star Realms, maybe. Maracaibo, I think, will move up. Dixit will stay the same. Castles is having a big Kickstarter right now. So if that Kickstarter gets released before next year, maybe. Eldritch Horror, I think, is going to drop, but just stay on the list. That's my guess. Downforce, I don't know. Yeah, once we go up higher than this, I'm just guessing. I don't know because anything can happen, and it depends what very popular games get released this year, and how popular the 2020 games become. Like for example, the 2020 games, I guarantee Viscounts is going to make the list. Viscounts of the West Kingdom. I feel very confident Dune Imperium is going to make the list. Yep. I feel pretty strongly about Dwellings of Eldervale making the list. Those are 3 I think will make the list. Arnak
will make the list if the chats on every single one of your top 10s are anything to go by.
That's true. That's true. That's true. The Lost Ruins of Arnak will probably be on the list. Although I still wonder if that's a game that is a flash in the pan. Flash in the pan is a strong word.
But I think it needs expansions. I love it. I think it's better than Dune Imperium, but I think it needs expansions to stay relevant.
Well, you're here for your stats, not your opinions.
Yeah. And basically.
What's my lowest BGG rating for my top 100 this year? Folks, in that case, my BGG ratings, I don't have time to perpetually keep 6,994 rankings, so I update them once every 5 years. once every 4, then 5 years. I go back 1 year after I review the game and look at the rating. Then I do whenever I do my look back videos, then 5 years and 10 years. So it's possible that I have games I've ranked only an 8 in my top 100, but it would probably be a 9 or something. So I would say, in essence, take my top 25 of my top 100 and say they're 10s. And then,
Gotcha.
and then 9.5s and 9s. 8.5s, there's probably a few of them, but it's 8.5 or higher for sure. Even if it doesn't say that at BGG, it is at least an 8.5 if it's on my top 100.
Yeah.
Whew. Well, we've reached an hour here, folks. I know everyone, especially, apparently there's a lot of people here loving this, and some people said it reminded them too much of work.
Too much of work. No, if you really want to get reminded of work, you can play ISS Vanguard, the Office book game, the Office Binder game.
All right, let's jump back to your face, Alex, real quick.
Yep.
Here.
Sure. Okay, let me hit stop sharing. If I can actually stop sharing without hanging up this time like I did last time. I don't know how to share screen.
It's
stop
the dot,
sharing.
dot,
There we
dot.
go.
There you go.
There we go.
Alrighty, so
Yep.
once again, Alex, I want to say thank you because I went and watched your Kickstarter thing and you said nice things about us in your Kickstarter overview.
Yeah.
This would be really awkward otherwise, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we really like your channel. So once again, if people have just joined us, where could they find that channel?
It's going to be Board Game Co. on YouTube, just Board Game Co. one word, and it's just head on over there. I don't actually do stats videos, although maybe I should because these are fun for me. The only problem is no one actually has stats like you, so it's you and BGG. My own stats, I don't have anything yet. But yeah, Board Game Co. on YouTube. I talk about anything, board games, the Kickstarters, topics, whatever.
Maybe you should talk to all the. I don't know if you ever looked at this. There was a stat that I used to really like doing. I did it for like 8 straight years and I stopped. But I asked Scott Alden from Board Game Geek to send me the average rating of games per designers.
Interesting. That, in theory, is data I could already get. Yes.
Okay, so yeah. And I found that fascinating to look at over the years, designers' rise and fall based on their data. This will take all their games. So, for example, even back when I did this, which was a decade ago, Rainer Knizia was not in the top 20. Why?
Yeah.
Because he had so many games that had low ratings that counteracted his higher rating games. And I think I made a rule that you had to have at least 5 games or something after a while because one
to
very
exclude
highly
the one-ofs.
ranked
Yep.
games. So I don't know. That sort of thing's
So
interesting.
it's interesting. I have to take a look at that because I know I can get data at any point because BGG has a publicly available API to get a lot of data, and so a lot of things I can get automatically just from that. I don't know if I have ratings over time, so I can look at a rating of a designer by year. I don't know if I can pull up because your data is being given because you literally kept the data for who knows how long, so that's fine. I don't know if I have the capacity to by myself. They might have it. To pull the data at points in time. That's an interesting conversation.
That's a tricky thing to do, but maybe they do. I don't know.
Yep.
So anyhow, thank you so much for offering to come on and do this. And I find this sort of thing just super fascinating. I love stats. And I'm glad that I don't know. I just get excited to look back. People's Choice being 10 years. That's the one I'm most interested in because I think it's a little bit less static than BGG's. And I said it with all respect to BGG because this information comes from them. But BGG, it's harder to dislodge a high-ranked game. If people don't play it much anymore. Here, it's more interesting. And also, games that get a lot of play, like, for example, Carcassonne is not in the BGG Top 100 at all because some people kind of sneer at it. But the People's Choice kind of gives you more of an idea. If you want to play a fun game, these are pretty good ones.
Yeah, because BGG is all time. You need just a critical mass to dislodge something versus the People's Choice. The way it's done is at any given year, what's on top of mind, what's front and center. So it's a very different, like you said, like no disrespect, it's different rating systems. But in terms of trying to get a feel for what's currently being played and what's currently sticking around, as opposed to what managed to hit a peak, it's going to be to a certain degree more relevant.
Alrighty, folks. Well, I will see you all tomorrow morning. I'll be doing Board Game Breakfast. We'll be talking about some of the new videos series that I'll be doing over this coming year, 2021, and some more. Thank you, everybody, for backing our Kickstarter. I've never been drunk because I've never actually drunk anything in my life, but I felt that way this morning. This was I felt yesterday very much so. But thank you, everybody. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
And I'm Alex Radcliffe. Oh, my pause. I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
And we'll see y'all next time. Have fun
Yeah.
statisticizing.